All righty, good evening, everyone. This is meteorologist Timmy Albertson here at the Guys for tonight's weather chat. Will probably be a little bit of a quick one, but we do have some cooler temperatures across a good portion of the United States this evening here, and we're likely going to be seeing those cooler temperatures sticking around a little bit as we go through the forecast. Now, if we take a look at the latest weather map, the culprit right now for some of those colder temperatures down across, I guess I say colder, relatively speaking, for them, across parts of the deep south is this area of high pressure. Take a look, temperatures not that long ago in the lower 20s around central Oklahoma, upper 20s around the Dallas area, and into the teens up in parts of Mississippi. So this is an area of high pressure that came out of Canada, and of course it does have some colder air with it. But this area of high pressure will begin to actually track its way a little bit towards the east. And what we're eventually going to see is another little kind of a system trying to push its way out of the Rocky Mountains, kind of moving very quickly as a little clipper system. But eventually, that could maybe track its way a little further into the Great Lakes area. Now, the reason I say this area of high pressure is going to be moving off towards the east is because as it does begin to move off towards the east, we are going to see a little bit of a pressure gradient begin to set up across parts of the Mississippi River Valley. And that will eventually kind of help to produce yet another area of low pressure. And by the time we get towards the end of the work week, this could all line up to maybe another active weekend across parts of New England. So let's take a look here at one of the forecast maps here. We'll kind of pull it up here and I'll walk you through a little bit, at least, of kind of what's going to probably be happening here as we go through the rest of the work week. So there's our area of high pressure, again, hanging its way down around eastern Texas as we head through the overnight tonight, going into early tomorrow morning. You can see that area of high pressure then begins to track its way across the deep south during the day tomorrow, and then eventually, as we go into tomorrow evening, it'll be over the Carolinas, and then working its way off towards the Outer Banks by the time we head into Thursday morning. So, at the same time, we're going to be watching a little bit further off towards our west. We have this little area of low pressure that's going to eventually develop out of the west eastern edge there of the mountains, and it'll begin to track its way down through here. This is all part of a system that's actually going to be pushing its way through the Pacific Northwest. You can see that little low kind of tracks its way very quickly out of Montana as we head into the day on Thursday, and then you can see it moving into Iowa. So, the third thing that's going to be going on at the same time is yet again, we're going to be watching another area of low pressure developing around the Oklahoma panhandle as we go into the day on Thursday. So, we'll have that little kind of clipper system tracking its way across the Dakotas and going into Minnesota. And eventually, we can see that it will catch up with that area of low pressure moving out of Oklahoma and could help it to intensify a little bit more. And then, as we head towards the weekend, we'll be tracking that area of low pressure as it does make its way up the East Coast. Also, behind that area of low pressure is going to be yet another decent area of high pressure. So while we could be seeing those temperatures maybe kind of relaxing, at least in terms of how cold it is, might maybe kind of go up a few degrees. Keep in mind, we could have yet another air mass that's then eventually going to kind of come in that might push us back down into seeing some of those colder temperatures. And that area of high pressure might not maybe go quite as south as this one has, but it'll still be there nonetheless to help kind of cool things down yet again. So again, we often talk about in weather how a lot of things are connected. So, an area of high pressure, as it begins to move its way to the Carolinas by Thursday, again, the airflow around a high pressure is going to be clockwise. So, that creates this little southwesterly flow here. Meanwhile, we have this kind of larger low pressure system that's tracking its way through the Rocky Mountains, bringing in some cooler air with it. That cooler air begins to advance southwards. It will help to enhance this kind of pressure gradient. And that's where we're going to see that area of low pressure kind of popping out as we go into the day on Thursday. Not the strongest area of low pressure, at least initially, but once it begins to interact with that little disturbance pushing its way through across parts of the Dakotas, that will kind of help to enhance it just a little bit more. All right, so with that in mind, let's take a look at some temperatures right now across parts of Texas heading down into the deep south. As mentioned, it's been a little bit of a chilly one for them down there. Nothing unusual for us up here in the Midwest, but always kind of fun to see sometimes when we get some of these warm weather locations. It's 26 degrees right now over at Dallas Love Field Airport. Dew point there is apparently sitting about 2 degrees below zero. I'm not quite sure if that's an accurate reading. Nope, it is. And the Dallas Fort Worth Airport right now is sitting at 27 degrees. And again, folks, it's about 5 o'clock in the evening over there. So not necessarily the dead of night here. Temperature is probably going to drop down there a little bit more. Let's look a little further over towards the east here for our friends over in Louisiana, Shreveport area. I've been there before. Of course, when I was there, it was hot and humid, as is normally the case. And their temperature right now, though, is not very hot and humid. In fact, it's a temperature that I could easily handle as I'm a cold weather person. 28 degrees right now with a dew point of 9 degrees. So this is a very dry air mass, in case you guys have been wondering. Again, it came out of Canada. Again, not a lot of moisture for it to work with where this high pressure originated. So not only is this thing bringing in those cooler temperatures, but also a little bit in the way of some drier air. We can see that the visibility there is about 10 miles. The sky cover or cloud cover is there is none. It's clear. That area of high pressure is bringing in again this drier weather, but also these colder temperatures. Again, that's what we get with these continental air masses during the winter time. Again, ones that are far enough away from the water do not really get a lot of moisture. So these are some very low dew points here, very dry air mass, certainly the kind that'll get your skin to crack a little bit here. Let's take a little bit of a further look. Let's head on down to Alexandria, Louisiana. Right now, they are sitting at 30 degrees with a dew point of 8 degrees. Again, might not sound impressive for those of you over in the in the Midwest, especially the upper Midwest where I am, but down here, yeah, that's pretty impressive. As a matter of fact, their lows, I think, might have actually gotten into the 20s last night, if I remember correctly here. Lafayette, Louisiana, hot place, been there, uh, right in the heart of the French culture down there, Arcadian. Anyways, 30 degrees right now is their temperature, dew point of 17. Again, clear skies, winds from the north, not necessarily light, but again, not overly strong, about 20 miles an hour right now, with maybe some gusts just a little bit over that. So, certainly a breezy one down there. As a matter of fact, they actually had some wind chill advisories across parts of Texas last night. That was kind of entertaining to see a little bit, just in the sense of, what they consider wind chill advisories. Let's take a look down at the border right now. As a matter of fact, we'll head on over towards Brownsville, Texas here. And again, they're sitting right now at a temperature of 39 degrees with a dew point of 17. So those temperatures will probably drop tonight for the most part. There is a little bit of some cloud cover there, though, albeit they are a little bit closer to the Gulf here, so a little bit more moisture for them to work with. Heading over to McAllen area, they're sitting about 44 degrees right now, dew point at 11 degrees. So certainly kind of a chilly one. What's actually really interesting to give you an idea of this air mass. It might not seem all that impressive, but take a look here over the Gulf of Mexico. Just a few miles offshore here. They're sitting at 36 degrees too. Water temperatures in this area tend to be very warm. So when you have kind of an air mass like that, like the one we have right now, that's actually putting those temperatures down into the mid 30s, that is somewhat impressive a little bit there. So 36 degrees off the coast of Bay City, Texas there, going even a little bit further out. They are sitting at 43 degrees here out in the open waters. Now, again, mind you, folks, not necessarily the coldest temperatures that we've ever seen, but certainly kind of impressive nonetheless to see that over the Gulf of Mexico, especially, for this being a 5:15 p.m. reading, so not even the dead of night. Now, the dew point there is about 36 degrees. You'll notice that that dew point is much higher than the dew points that we were seeing a little bit further inland. Again, because this is the Gulf of Mexico. Even though the air mass itself is dry, well, it still can't get rid of all that moisture that happens to be in the Gulf of Mexico. So we're seeing our dew points there just a little bit higher. But it's actually kind of cool if you take a look at this, though. Again, dew point 44 back up here. It's 36, and as you get closer towards land, that dew point is in the lower 20s. So just kind of a neat little drop there. You can kind of see how these air masses on land begin to kind of interact when they go over water. So do kind of dry it out a little bit, but again, not overly, dry. Let's take a look down at Key West right now. They are sitting at 77 degrees over in Key West right now. So again, not the coldest temperatures there, but their numbers will be dropping too as that high pressure does try to sneak in a little bit, albeit probably not quite as low though as what they're seeing over around the Mobile, Alabama area. Right now in Mobile, it is 33 degrees with a dew point of 13 degrees. Go a little bit further up, it is 28 degrees there already. So again, folks, these are areas that don't really necessarily see frost very often during the winter time, but certainly not necessarily too unusual, but does give you an idea, though, that this is kind of somewhat of a strong air mass here. These temperatures, again, in places that we would typically expect it to be rather warm, which every time we've done these weather chats, this tends to be a very warm area. In this case, not the case. Right now in Jackson, Mississippi, the temperature there is 23 degrees, dew point of 8. Go a little bit further up, it is 19 degrees. So it is certainly kind of a chilly one down there across Mississippi, which is saying something because if you know what it's like down there in the summertime, it's hot and humid. Pretty impressive to get that hot and humid air away. Let's take a look at our good friends over in Memphis, Tennessee. 13 degrees right now is their temperature. Dew point down to about 1 degree. So overall, very, very chilly air mass there across the Mississippi River Valley. Now, as we go through the overnight tonight, those temperatures, like I said, are going to be dropping. We're going to watch as that center of high pressure moves over the deep south, not only tonight, but during the day tomorrow. And then we will see those temperatures begin to rise as we head towards the end of the work week once that high pressure moves off towards the east and allows that southerly wind to kind of come back into the area, not only warming it up, but also bringing back in some more of that moisture there. All right, let's go a little bit further up towards the north here, where I am, nearby the Duluth area. They are sitting at 6 degrees in Superior, Wisconsin. It's been about that all day today. Actually, this morning we were down below zero, and the night before that we were also below zero. We'll likely be staying these single-digit highs over the next couple of days before we maybe see those temperatures maybe trying to drop below zero, over the next couple of nights anyway. So not really too much of a change there. Going up to Two Harbors, temperature there 0 degrees, dew point of -8. For those of you who like to keep track at International Falls, one of the coldest spots, at least in the contiguous United States, -2 degrees right there. However, if you go a little bit further off towards the east around the Crane Lake area, I've been up there multiple times before. Temperature there right now is 15 degrees below zero, and there is a light breeze, which is certainly putting that wind chill down. So, uh, overall, still a pretty good air mass that's in place here. Like I said, over the next couple of days, especially across parts of the plains in the Midwest. Temperatures may go up a little bit, but we'll be watching as that new area of high pressure moves in towards the end of the work week, and that'll probably try to push those temperatures back down. All righty, everyone. That is kind of a look at what's going on right now, just for fun. Let's see what they're doing up there in Thunder Bay, Canada. I've been up there before. The temperature there right now is 0 degrees of a dew point of -9. And for a little further up over there, it is 5 degrees below zero with a dew point of -12. Thunder Bay is a fun city if you ever go there. It's a little weird how it's laid out. Give you a little fun geography lesson. If you look at the way Thunder Bay is laid out, you'll notice that it's almost appears like it has two downtowns of the way the cities are or the streets are laid out. There's a high density here, and there's another density down here. Believe it or not, this actually used to be two different cities at one point, Port Arthur and Fort William. And then I think sometime in the 70s, they combined and formed Thunder Bay. But if you ever do go up there and you're driving around, it might look a little weird because it looks like there's almost kind of two separate downtowns. And But it's not. It's well, yes, there's two separate downtowns because they used to be two different cities, but then they merged together to form Thunder Bay. All right, there's your fun little history and geography lesson. And for those of you who are planning on going up to Thunder Bay sometime soon, but if you are, there you go. There's your warning. I warned you. As you drive around Thunder Bay, you're gonna be like, "This is a really weirdly laid out city." It's because it used to be two. All right. That is a look there at what is going on. Again, that low pressure that is tracking its way off the Pacific coast going to certainly be producing a good amount of snow across the mountains. And again, eventually that'll force some of that moisture out as that disturbance as we go into Wednesday and more so going into the day on Thursday. So, going to be a pretty interesting next couple of days. With that in mind, we'll talk more about that tomorrow. But in the meantime, everyone, I hope you all enjoyed your time here on tonight's weather chat, enjoying some of those colder temperatures. I'm certain I hope that you are, as I am a winter person. So consider that to be my gift to you. Those of you who don't like winter, I'm sorry, but it's winter. So, that in mind, I hope you all have a good rest of your evening, everyone. We'll be back here tomorrow evening. We'll talk more about that snow in the mountains, that little disturbance coming through, and maybe what they could be expected to see in New England. We'll also maybe take a look at some of those low temperatures tonight, tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll look at tonight's lows. See how they did down south. All right. Have a good rest of your evening, everyone. Take care. Until next time, keep enjoying that weather.